The Deferred Resignation Program is back for federal employees, and it's being dubbed as version 2.0. Now, we have seen 7 agencies offer a Deferred Resignation Program as a voluntary offer before mandatory RIFs go into effect. This is a little bit more complicated because OPM isn't in control of this. This is down to the agencies, and they have their own different rules. In this episode, we're going to talk about the legality and the likelihood of keeping the promises of these offers. We're going to discuss what we have seen in different various offers that have been put out there for the Deferred Resignation Program, and we're going to provide action items for you to take advantage of now. Welcome. I'm Ed Smith, President of Valor Wealth Partners, where we're dedicated to educating federal employees on your complex and often underutilized benefits. When we're looking at the second round of the Deferred Resignation Program, things are a lot different. And over the last week, we've seen a lot of activity, both coming for new Deferred Resignation Programs and also RIFs that have been coming out. So there's a lot more flurry of what's going on. So we wanted to send another video out here to really try to help guide you a little bit on what's going on and give you a little bit of resources. We know it's a really short time frame for you to be able to make a decision. And so we want to be able to look at this because we know that within the next couple days or weeks, you're going to have to make a decision. And it really comes down to the agency that you're looking at. We wish we could give you all of the answers, but because of the diversity and the agencies controlling this and it not be under one OPM guidance, we're not able to give you a lot of specifics about what is going on. And we'll talk about how to be able to look for the information about what's going on in the course of the video. Now, I just want to say that I understand how much this sucks. And there's really no better term. The anxiety, the concern, the constant fear of something happened. I've been there before. I've been in the job where every day I woke up and I didn't know if that was a day that my team or me was going to no longer have a position. And to go in and do your job every day, it's got to be very tough for you. So we really feel and understand the pain that you're going through. We hope this ends soon, and from the guidance that we're seeing and some of the things we'll talk about today, you might see a little bit of a timeline of when this might possibly happen. I'm not saying that it's going to follow these timelines. I'm just saying these are the timelines that have been outlaid in different documents, and we want to be able to make sure that you're aware of them so you do see that there's a little hope that this agony or anxiety will subside at some point, and hopefully you're going to be in the position or where you want to be on the long term for your career and what you need for you and your family. One of the things that we did last month is we had a webinar where we had people ask us questions, and they submitted the questions either beforehand or they were able to ask us during the course of the webinar. And it was very successful on both the amount of questions that we were able to answer and also the amount of people that were there. So we're going to be doing this on a monthly basis and help you out. There's a link in the notes section if you want to sign up for the one that it will be on April 10th. It's a Thursday. It's at 7 p.m. at night. We wanted to make it available so it wasn't during the course of the workday. Unfortunately, we are not recording them for distribution, so we're not going to be able to have them to be able to go out look at later on. So we want to be able to have them people attending and be able to get those answers. So if it's important, come. We're not only going to be talking about the state of the federal workforce, but we're also going to be talking about market volatility because over the last week, and this is being filmed on April 4th, we've just seen an extreme volatility in what's going on with the markets and everything. I'm not going to get into that today, but we are going to discuss that a little bit because it is very top of mind, especially how much the markets are moving. And so we want to be able to be both on what's happening with federal workforce, but also talk about market volatility because that is very important at this point. Let's dig into the legality and the likelihood of keeping the promises. First, we want to talk about the legality. Now, everything seems to be legal on the deferred resignation programs. All right. And so when we're looking at this, because it's a voluntary program and people are signing up for it, they're making the choice versus some of the other legal challenges that are going on there that are the involuntary actions that people are having. From our opinion, they're trying to do the voluntary for a couple of reasons. One, to make it easier for the workforce, but two, to avoid legal entanglements. The legal entanglements just delay the plan of what's going to happen with DOJ and where the federal workforce is planned to be going from the people that are making these decisions. But also, it's just the battle that's there. So they're trying to get as many people to do it voluntarily through this other deferred resignation program versus not. Now, when we're looking at the legal actions, we really have to look at who wins in a legal action, and it's really the attorneys. Now, I am not saying that if you personally have something that you've been wrong that you shouldn't fight this. Absolutely on a personal basis. I am talking about the bigger legal challenges when you're looking at organizations, or you're looking at big firings or the mass things and the challenges that happen. Let's take, for example, the first Deferred Resignation Program. Because of the lawsuits, what happened was the time went out and the deadlines that were there. And then when the lawsuit was ended, and then like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they said, we're ending the program. They didn't give time for the people that were thinking about it or waiting for the legal action to be done to see if something should be done, should they take the offer. So because they waited, they weren't able to because there was no. So the legal action actually hurt people not taking the offer by the deadline because they were waiting to see what happened. And then there was no time to be able to do this. It was such a short window that was there. So I think this has really hurt people. So I am glad that another Deferred Resignation Program is being offered so people that were thinking about it are able to do it. Now, again, it's only 7 agencies that we've seen, but what we are seeing is that they're big agencies, so hopefully a lot of people are going to be there. I wish it was everybody that was under this, and hopefully more of them come out, but the timeline is very short for this to be happening. The other part of legality is goes back to when you're looking at maybe an office or an agency was gutted and there's legal actions and they be able to get people back to the workforce. Well, there's a big problem with this of why people lose in these situations is that let's say that they involuntarily fired these people. Now they might be available for certain benefits like severance pay. If they bring you back, but now you've already accepted another job someplace else, what do? Do you come back to federal workforce knowing that there's a really good chance they'll find another way to fire the whole team or the department or cut the budget drastically and you're going to be out of a job in a couple of months? Or do you stay with that new job and go forward with that area? Well, if you go forward with the new job that you just took, now it's a voluntary retirement and you're not eligible for severance pay. So there are some things that could actually hurt people by some of these legal actions. So just be very cautious of, hey, we won, because actually you might lose in some of these legal actions. And that's why I say the attorneys win, because the attorneys get paid no matter what. They have these huge lawsuits, it's a big spectacle, and they win. But the federal employees are still the ones that are caught in the crossfires of all of this stuff that's going on. Now, let's move on to the likelihood of keeping the promises. What we have seen from the first Deferred Resignation Program is that promises were being kept. Now, we still are a long way from September 30th and what's going to happen in that period of time, but it seems very likely that they're trying to do this and avoid any legal battles. So they're trying to be able to honor this and saying, hey, you left. We're doing these different types of things, and people are able to go. Now, without the exceptions, and the first one was very cloudy. I did not like it at all because of the information was confusing. It came out too fast. I think that these Deferred Resignation Programs are a lot more thought out because they have had time. I really wish the first one was a lot like this evolution of them. But again, we can't be able to change what happened. But on the first one, we have seen the promises being offered are being kept on these areas. Now, I'm not saying that they are going to be kept, but we have to look at what are the alternatives. If you're eligible and you do not take a Deferred Resignation Program, or the VERA or whatever that's being offered, what is the alternatives? Now, you live in this constant state of anxiety we were talking about before until hopefully these are over, which while the most of it should be over by the summertime or at least by September, it could go on for a lot longer. The other thing is if you don't take an offer and you don't get this benefit of the Deferred Resignation Program and whatever, if you are able to retire or not, if you don't take it and then you get RIFed, you might or you might not get a severance again on that. So you might lose out even more by not being able to take this Deferred Resignation Program. So it's just looking at these options. So if they don't honor the obligations that they're going to have and you get RIFed anyway, there's really no loss because you lost either way. If you do take the program and they do honor it, that's better than possibly being RIFed down the road. Now, I'm not saying you absolutely will be, and enough people take the voluntary actions, the RIFs will be a lot smaller for the other people. So hopefully a lot more people take the voluntary choices, and the RIFs will be a lot more minimal on people that want to stay and want to be able to go forward as the federal workforce is changing. Let's take a look at the big picture and how this affects people in different areas. Now, we talked about, the agency guidance, and now we said there's 7 different programs that we know of or agencies that are offering this. And because they're all different, we're not going to get into the specifics of what they are. Some people, it's you have to be able to have it done on April 7th. Some it's on April 8th. Sometimes it's at the end of the month. The timing and the deadlines are completely different on all of these. So definitely go in and look at what your agency is saying for the program. Now, some agencies are saying there are no exceptions. Some agencies are clearly defining what those exceptions of roles they are. So they could be very critical. Now, with the overall big picture, there are some big exceptions that are in there, and we're going to provide some resources that you can dig into them and look at them a little bit specific. But there are specific exceptions overall for any of either RIFs or deferred resignation programs, like postal right now is on an exception list. Military, places that are of national security or public safety, those have exceptions overall for any deferred resignation program or RIF from what we're seeing in the specific guidance that OPM is giving. Okay. But you want to be looking at specifically on the agency. Does your agency specifically exclude a position or a role? Some of them are and some of them aren't. We've seen both ways on that. Okay. We have seen a lot more information coming from the agencies because, again, they've had more time to plan. So they are a lot more forthcoming on information. And this is really good because it's really able to help people make better decisions. I really encourage you to get your numbers, and so you know what this means for you. Looking at different things, like getting a GRB report, HR Navigator, whatever is available for you, so you can actually get the reports in a very timely manner. So over the weekend or the next week, depending on what the deadlines are for you, you can actually make a decision. I think that once these programs are over, RIFs are going to come very fast, and as soon as they can look at the numbers of who took the program or who didn't and look at those different areas. So this is probably the last voluntary choice that's going to be there, and then after that they're going to be moving forward with involuntary, and it's not going to be pretty for those people that maybe want to stay or those choices that are here. Now, we found two good guidance pieces. There's links to them. One is the actual document, and one is the website where that document is. The first one is the OPM memo, the OPM memo on guidance on agency RIF and reorganization plans. And then it just keeps on going on for Doge and whatever that's there. But that's a really good memo. It's about a 7-page PDF document, and it really spells out what's going on different phases and also the exemptions and stuff like that. There's also the much larger OPM's Workforce Reshaping Operations Handbook. A lot more thorough. If you want to read through that, please. There's tons of information. Again, we're trying to get some of the basic information so people can get most of this and get the resources that they need. Now, in those two guidelines I talked about, they talk about the two phases of the reorganization of the federal workforce. Now, phase one, the deadline has already passed, and it was focused on the initial agency cuts and reductions. Phase two plans, and this is specifically from those plans, phase two plans shall outline a positive vision for more productive, efficient agency operations going forward. So phase one was cutting the workforce, which we're already starting to see with deferred resignation programs and RIFs. Phase two is actually rebuilding the organizations into the vision of what they want those agencies to be based off the guidelines. Now, the phase two deadline is April 14th for review and approval, or no later than April 14th, which is coming up in less than 2 weeks. And then phase two plan should be planned to be implemented by September 30th. So again, the date of the fiscal year end or when the deferred resignation program is happening, but those people are probably long gone on that period of time anyway. When we look at the bottom line of what does this really means, the federal workforce is being reduced. There is no challenge here. It is going to happen. You can fight it all you want. One way or another, we are going to have a smaller federal workforce. You can either take a voluntary offer. You can wait to see if you get an involuntary offer and they make their choice on you, which the people I have talked to said they do not want to be in that situation. They would rather make the choice. I have had a few people say, you know what, if they want me, they can come after me, and that's a different choice altogether. Or you survive and you're on the future of what the federal workforce is going to be, which can, depending on where you're going to be and what you're going to be able to do, can be a lot different. Could be a lot more responsibilities. But I know a lot of people work in the federal workforce because of the desire to serve. I know a lot of great federal employees that the mission, and they want to be there. They want to be doing a great job that they've been doing for many, many years. And so you just have those three choices: the voluntary, possibly be involuntarily cut, or you survive this program of the reduction, and you're actually part of the federal workforce as they change and a lot of the programs that are being the agency directives and missions that they do. Okay. And it really comes down to that question. Do you want to take an offer if it's eligible, or possibly be subject to a RIF? And it really just comes to that. The voluntary, the involuntary is really where that question comes down to. Okay. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I want to talk about a couple of immediate action items for you. Again, we've been talking about these in the last couple of videos. Please get a copy of your entire electronic official personnel folder, or EOPF. Get this, save this. Make sure you have a copy of any legal documents, SF50s, anything that you possibly have. Make sure you have good quality copies of this. Make sure you also have copies of any military or any other time that you've paid back, so you get a copy of this. Sometimes they are in the EOPF. The next thing is build reserves as fast as you can. I can't say this enough. I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and they are really cutting back on the spending or some of the discretionary things that they're doing in preparation that they possibly might be involuntarily separated from federal service. They don't want to leave the federal service, but if they do, they're building up a war chest to make sure they can cover costs for many, many months. They did not know that there was a possibility of getting a severance check or severance checks for many months, and so that was a very good thing to see that they were able to get that. So if you haven't seen the severance pay calculation video, that was actually really good and very insightful for a lot of people. But reserves are very important. I'm not saying cut everything out of your life, but try to be a little bit more cautious about what you're spending money on right now as we're getting through this period of time. I do see that the reduction in force or any types of situations are probably going to go through midsummer. It's probably when most of this is going to be, as then after that, they're going to start rebuilding the government and the vision that they want it to be from the different agency heads and where they're planning to be able to do on this side. But I think that the reduction in the federal workforce will probably be midsummer while most of this is being done. Obviously, it's already starting to happen in a very fast pace. And the third action item is just start preparing an action plan for reemployment. And again, this could be if something happens in the federal service. This could be looking at the bigger picture. But again, going back to some of these guidelines, brainstorm what your dream work would be. This could be a great opportunity for you to change what you're doing. Some people start a job, they think they're going to be there for a short period of time, and then next thing they wake up and they've been there for 10 or 15 years or even longer. This is an opportunity for you to say, are you doing what's important to you and that goes by your guiding values of what you have. Next, create a resume that's matching that new vision, and then start networking with people that are there. I've talked to numerous people, both in the federal workforce and outside of the federal workforce, that are trying to get jobs, and the AI systems that check resumes, they're just sending out resumes and resumes and resumes. This has a lot to do with the networking. If you have a good network, there's a better chance you're going to get a job a lot quicker. Now, could you get into a really good job? Sure. That's not saying that you won't. It will probably just take a lot longer if you don't have a stronger network. So try to be able to look at the people or the type of job you want to be, socialize with them, get to know them, take them out for a cup of coffee or lunch or something like that, and just pick their brain and say, ask for help. People are definitely willing to help you when you're trying to make some career choices, and you might make some good friends or some good connections that could help you get into another position quicker if you either voluntarily or involuntarily are separated from federal service. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Please check us out on April 10th. Sign up for the webinar. We want to be able to answer your questions, and it's a really good forum to answer your questions where we can't really answer them on the comment section, but we are seeing what's happening. This video was created because somebody specifically asked for this video, so we're trying to be as helpful as we possibly can. I wish I could provide you more information, but because the agencies are so separate and different on their programs, we can only give so much information that's overarching on everything. So we want the best solutions for you and your family, so please get conflict-free, unbiased advice. Until next time, we wish you the best. Thank you.